It's time to take a ride on the Steelers Afternoon Drive with our co-hosts, Alan Saunders and Zachary Smith.
In the van, we're going for our Steelers Afternoon Drive. I'm Zachary Smith. That is Alan Saunders. Alan, it is great to see that you are not in the pitch black today on the episode. How we doing?
I'm good. Yeah, it's not a nice feature this time of year. We don't prefer it.
Yeah. I mean, I like this time of year, but I guess that is the one downside on this podcast when we are recording. Especially like last week was just so weird because of playing against LA. They're not putting the injury stuff out or any transaction stuff until later. And yeah, just a weird week last week. And then yesterday, obviously, with the travel, you coming back and then recording on your way back home after you get back to the airport. It's been a weird weekish, but we're back to normal. Tomlin Tuesday today gets us back on track. But Alan, a move to talk about here, something that I said I thought was very likely to happen. Asante Samuel Jr. joining the Steelers practice squad. Let's jump right into it. Do you think that this is a case where we could see him right away on Sunday, a la Kyle Duggar, or a different scenario because at least Duggar was playing somewhere else in football shape, and it's a different situation in the case with Asante Samuel Jr.?
Yeah, I think the Steelers would love to have him in the lineup on Sunday. I just, like you said, I mean, that's putting a lot of faith in a guy who hasn't taken a snap of football since almost a calendar year. And so we'll see what he looks like. That's why you put a guy like that on the practice squad, because it doesn't hurt you. If he's not ready to go, you still bring him in. That kind of lets him get ready on his time. And I had a lot of people ask me on Twitter, does this mean somebody else could sign him from the practice squad? Well, technically, yes, but only if he agrees to. And I don't know, like he very clearly, he took the tour of 6 teams or something like that. Like he was very thorough about where he wanted to sign. I don't know, like there's no risk to the Steelers to putting him on the practice squad. Now, if they leave him there for a month and a half and in that interim, Brandon Echols and James Pierre have become all pros, and he's like, I don't have a chance to play here. Well, then maybe, but like, I mean, not any point in the even remotely near future.
Well, okay, so that is kind of the opposite end of the spectrum that I wanted to bring up, because bringing him in, assume he's going to be elevated sooner rather than later, whether that's this Sunday or the following one against Chicago. I think we see him up here sooner rather than later. And I guess the fallout is, okay, right now you might not have Darius Slay because of being out with a concussion potentially this week, but when he gets back into the fold, man, what's the trickle-down effect when you do have Asante Samuel Jr. at your disposal as well with everything else? You know, we've talked about Brandon Echols playing pretty well. He had a little bit of a rough go covering Ladd McConkey in the slot this past week, putting it lightly. James Pierre's had some really good reps, but I mean, I feel like relatively known commodity what you have there. How does everything shake out if you do get Darius Slay back into the fold and Asante Samuel Jr. is elevated?
I don't think we know. I mean, I don't think we know what Asante Samuel is going to look like. I mean, nobody's seen him take a hit, even if the Steelers worked him out. Which I think they did. I think they ended up moving up his workout to today. But even if they worked him out, they haven't seen him take a hit. They haven't seen him try to make a tackle. Well,
not many people did, even when he was healthy. So.
Right. Well, that's, I mean, that he was bad. He was not a good tackler before. And so I think you should have very muted expectations here. They got a guy who was once good, went through a surgery that is, we can talk about the surgery a little bit. So basically, he had a stinger, and that's the injury that caused him to leave last season. A stinger is a nerve injury where like you get jostled in a hit and your nerve gets trapped or pinched or whatever, and it causes this like stinging, burning pain, extremely painful.
Trenton Thompson. Right? I mean, he ended up retiring.
This is the same injury that Trenton Thompson had, and Samuel had multiple stingers, and very similarly to Thompson, they recommended a surgery. This done by the Steelers doctors. I don't know which surgery that Samuel had, but like there are different kinds of spinal fusion surgery. This isn't like what Kurt Angle had 20 years ago. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, it's a much less invasive procedure. There's one, it has an acronym. I believe it's ACDF, that the Steelers doctors have actually been sort of on the forefront of creating. I believe that's the one that Peyton Manning had after his season where he was out for the whole year with the Colts before he went to the Denver Broncos. And I think this treatment is a bit newer and has a better outcome than the sort of traditional spinal fusion, which you really did not get very good results if guys return to play at all after. So like this is a major surgery. Like you're should not expect to see the same player on the field. That would be, I don't want to say completely unprecedented, but unlikely. We'll see what they get. And then I think you got to figure it out. Is he better than Brandon Echols and James Pierre? I would say very open question at this point. Well, let's see what he looks like. Let's get some practices in. And I think anything other than that is cart before the horse.
You said about Kurt Angle. I wanted to work in. He's not going to be playing football with a broken freaking neck.
No, he never broke his neck. So there was never any broken neck.
I think people see that spinal fusion, and that's immediately where that mind goes to.
Yeah. This was just to try to relieve some pressure that was creating that repeated stinger injury. And so,
now, in the case of Peyton Manning, he also went abroad and got stem cell and stuff done as well after getting that. Do we know? I wonder if Asante's looking at that.
I haven't talked to Asante Samuel or any of his people specifically about what he's done. And obviously, normally the Steelers can give some updates about Miles Killebrew had surgery on his knee, but they did this as his private doctor, so they can't. HIPAA doesn't generally apply to teams and athletes, but actually does here. The Steelers can't talk about this unless Asante Samuel wants to. So, don't have a lot of details about specifically what he's gone through. But I mean, I would be expecting a multi-week ramp up to football shape at the very least. Where I mean, if he plays this week, and he might dress just because who else is gonna? Darryl Porter. Or
Porter and Porter.
Deshaun Jameson. I think Porter is probably the best option. Daquan Hardy. But I mean, he might dress, but I doubt you're going to see significant.
If it's Daquan Hardy, I mean, maybe more of Echols outside if he were to get on the field.
Yeah, Darryl Porter's a little guy too. Porter, he can play both. Yeah. He can play inside and outside. Yeah, I would say. Look, I don't know. I mean, what is the game plan? What is the game plan that even on paper theoretically looks like it might work? Cover 2? I guess.
Yeah. And
you play Pierre and Porter as big. They're basically playing safety at that point because they have all the run responsibility, but that's your bigger guys. I don't know.
Yeah, I would definitely be curious to see.
I gotta say, I know he's in the concussion protocol, which isn't another place that's intentionally shrouded in mystery, but I don't think Slay helps him very much in this game. I don't know what job you want to give Darius Slay in this game that you think he can do.
Well, certainly didn't help him in the first meeting, absent of guarding Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, which is a tall task for anybody. I mean, he was getting beat by Yoshabas.
He could be the short player on a cover 2. On a cover 2, almost need the whiteboard, but on a cover 2, the corners don't go upfield. They just stay at the line of scrimmage. Okay. So you play tighter coverage, you stay at the line of scrimmage, then you pass the player to the safety. He could do that for sure. Yeah, I don't know. I got to see some practice before I even really feel comfortable guessing at what they might be planning for this week.
Sure. Well, Mike Tomlin talking about it a little bit, dove into it. I actually was going to respond because he expressed how he still had faith in the depth at corner, even without Darius Slay and moving Jalen Ramsey back to safety, to safety, keeping him there, I should say. And I was going to reply and say, well, he knows Asante Samuel Jr. is coming. But I was like, man, I've hammered this to death already.
Well, dude, I mean, I walked him right there with the question. That was my question. I don't know if you watched the press conference, but that was my question towards the end. I'm like, so do you said you felt good about the depth with Ramsey at safety. Do you still feel that way if you're also don't have Slay? And I'm like, does that include guys beyond Porter and Echols? There's nobody left. You have no one left on the roster. You have 3 corners on the roster. Yeah, I still feel good about it. Okay.
The corresponding move there before we fully dive into what Tomlin did have to say on Tomlin Tuesday, Darrick Forrest off of the practice squad. Somebody that if we saw, I thought was going to be more of just a special teams contributor. Was curious to see if he got elevated at all just to play special teams and maybe fill in while Miles Killebrew was out, but that didn't happen. Also a tryout with somebody that spent time here last year but never saw any game action, and CJ Henderson, former first-round pick of the Jacksonville Jaguars. So another corner that they're getting a look at.
Another guy with a neck injury.
Yeah.
I don't know what his injury was last year when he was here. No idea.
Really good athlete.
It wasn't a neck injury.
I'll say that. Former top 10 pick, and pretty much just because he was a great athlete coming out of Florida, but didn't love the pick at 10 when Jacksonville made that selection. Didn't think he was worth that type of investment. It obviously didn't pan out for him up to this point. We'll see. We'll see if anything comes of that. What I would assume if there's an addition there, it would also be practice squad. Maybe they flip another one of those guys that we just talked about, Porter, Hardy, whoever it might be, if they do like what they see from that tryout.
Yeah, I mean, there's a possibility that one of those guys, Hardy's played some games, I think, right? Porter has not. He's a rookie, but I think Hardy's got in some games. No, he hasn't. Okay, well,
okay. I actually would have thought that he would have been elevated a couple times last year. I knew Porter, obviously being a rookie and spent time with the Bills practice squad, knew he didn't see any game action prior to coming here, but okay. All right, let's dive into what Mike Tomlin had to say. Let's start with the thing that I think everybody's going to be most upset about, maybe get your take on as well. Talk about the Jaylen Warren stuff. We talked a little bit about the usage yesterday and, it being under 50% of the snaps. He actually played 3 less snaps than Kenny Gainwell. Some of that can be attributed, obviously, to game script, the way that it got, out of hand down the stretch. They really didn't have a chance when it got into the later minutes if you're trying to preserve him. But then again, you're still playing Aaron Rodgers at that point and everything as well. But curious as to what he had to say in terms of Jaylen Warren's usage. And then also given, what your thoughts are on his response. What is your take on what he had to say?
Well, I mean, I said yesterday I think they should be using Jaylen Warren more. I've said it a number of times this year. That wasn't anything new. And his answer is basically that, he can't play all the snaps. And I just, it's
not
like
50% at least.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, they don't. Well, here's the thing: it's like they are not even playing that many snaps,
right?
Like they could play
the fewest,
right. Like you're telling me that Jaylen Warren can't play more than 50% of the snaps of the team with the fewest offensive snaps in football? Like it's nonsense. Why is he peddling nonsense? I don't know. Jaylen Warren has had 4 games in his career with more than 40 snaps, just for the record, including one this year against New England. I think he can handle. How many did he have this week? 24. I think 33 would be just fine, right? 30 even would have been a big improvement if you picked the spots right. Like, it's not like anyone is saying he needs to play all of them, but God, like I'm
struggling. I wonder what your answer to this is going to be, because I feel like you might also be mystified. I wonder where the disconnect is in terms of how we feel like he should be utilized and where they are with him. Like, not just Tomlin though, right? I mean, you could say about Artie as well. I mean, I'm wondering where the disconnect is.
Aaron Rodgers said that he feels like Warren should get the ball more, but like Rodgers is also the guy out there checking out a run calls. So like, I don't know. Tomlin's answer almost feels to me like he agrees, but just can't say it.
Okay.
Like that's the only thing that makes any sense to me. I can't understand.
Well, that's another part of what I was going to ask, because we talk all the time about, like, it's one thing to say it, it's another to actually feel like it. I was wondering where you were at with his answer to that, but I guess that kind of answers that.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of feels like Tomlin has spent 2 weeks telling Arthur Smith to run the ball more and doesn't want to throw his coordinator under the bus, and so we get that as an answer.
Well, okay, but like you're talking about, even if that's what Artie's given to Aaron, if Aaron's checking out of it and he has the ability to do so,
Right. And,
I mean,
part of it may just be like the best intentions also. Like, if teams are selling out to stop the run, Aaron will be right to, if he goes up there with a run call and there's 9 guys in the box, he's supposed to check out of it, and so part of it may just be defenses are sitting on the run and they haven't found a way to get them out of that. I don't know. I guess some of that could be happening. A lot of times, Aaron's going to have 2 play calls when he goes to the line of scrimmage and the ability to change them. So it could be that there's like an intention to run the ball more, and just for whatever reason, the way the defenses have been presenting, it hasn't played out. I don't know. I will say it hasn't stopped the runs that Warren has made from being very effective. 5 yards a carry in this game. He gets 14 of them, 13 of them.
When nothing else was working.
And nothing else was working. And like, I wanted to ask Mike Tomlin this question. I just couldn't think of a good way to phrase it. I wonder too if that's a thing where like you see Aaron not having a good game at the beginning. Like, I think every coach has a line where it's like, okay, like Darnell dropped 2 passes in the first drive against the Colts. And then you're like, okay, well, he drops the first one. All right, go back to him. All right, he drops again. Okay, well, we're going to go back to him again. Like, we're not giving up on him. Okay, we're going to go back to him again. And then he makes a really good catch, and he has 4 catches in the career high. I feel like this might have been a situation where, like, hey, Aaron's struggling, but that's okay. We're going to go back to him. Hey, Aaron's still struggling, but that's okay. We're going to go back to him. And then, like, the expectation was that he was eventually going to pull himself out of this. It's like your best 3-point shooter is 0 for 6, but he's still your best 3-point shooter. Like, just you still want him shooting. You know what I mean? And so
when Steph has an off night,
when Steph has an off night, the Warriors lose. Like, I feel like I think that might be kind of the mindset they got into, where it was like, just let Aaron keep throwing and he'll eventually work out whatever is going on. And then they ended up down 2 scores and had to throw. Like, by then the game was out of hand and the running game was taken off the table for them. And so I don't think when the Steelers were walking in the gates of SoFi Stadium, Mike Tomlin was like, yeah, we only want Jaylen Warren to get 14 carries and play 46.2% of the offensive snaps in this game. I don't believe that for a millisecond. But sometimes stuff happens and it doesn't go the way you thought or the way you wanted, or maybe even the way in retrospect you think it should have. But I understand, Tomlin trying to protect the people underneath him. He's just going to make that sound like it was his decision and go from there.
And I can get that, if we're talking about one game, and I know that, you mentioned obviously the New England game, there's some other games where he's played quite a few snaps, and I get it, but like, and I will never know a fraction of what the people that we're talking about do about football. I get it, but like, still got to give my opinion on it, obviously. And the Jaylen Warren stuff, I just feel like continues to mystify me in totality here. Like, everything about it. The number of snaps that he's playing, the number of touches he gets on a game-to-game basis.
He's been their best player by like a significant margin. Like, it's not even close.
Right. I don't understand it. I don't understand. Okay, well, third down was obviously something that was brought up. Kenny Gainwell still playing as much as he is in third down for this team, and Tomlin talked about the third down offense. I brought it up yesterday, 5 of 33 over the course of their last 3 weeks with the offense sputtering. I understand third down is obviously that's the money down. So if you're struggling on a third down, you're getting right off the field, you're kicking the ball back, you're back on defense. Curious as to what Tomlin had to say about the third down offense, if that really is the only reason we're not seeing more Jaylen Warren.
Yeah, I mean, certainly things like playing time considerations generally go out the window when you dominate time of possession. Like, if you dominate time of possession and you extend drives and you maintain the football, then there's enough reps to go around for everybody, and no one's ever thinking about that kind of stuff. So, like, yes, that is correct. I think that's a cop-out answer, because, like, you're still choosing how you distribute the reps you have. But he is correct that if they just convert like 3 first downs on third down, then Warren probably has another 8 carries, right? And then nobody's thinking too much of it. And if he has another 8 carries, he has over 100 yards, and maybe one of them's in the end zone, and maybe it's a completely different game. Like, I get all that, and I still think there's a point to be made that we did just make about the way the reps have been doled out. But he is correct that if you're just not historically awful on third down, a lot of these problems fix themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and that goes into
And
complementary
it
football,
wasn't
which
even, and I touched on this yesterday, but I went back and looked. It wasn't even 3rd and long. They were 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 10, 3rd and 8. There was another 3rd and 8, a 3rd and 6. Like, it's not like it was like 10 and more, 3rd and 6. Like, it was relatively makeable stuff that they just were not converting on.
And it's something that I feel like they were at least league average, if not a little bit better in prior to those 3 weeks. Like, they were a middle of the pack team on third down. And I don't know what's gone on over the last 3 weeks to really like start sputtering. I mean, obviously pretty clearly in this last game, it was just 8 having a very poor performance, as bad as he's had in his entire career. But, going hand in hand, I know Tomlin, regardless of what happens offensively, we've seen him do this. He's still going to find a way to obviously bring in the defense and playing complementary football on that side as well. Obviously talked about them not winning the turnover margin, which not only means their offense turned the ball over, but their defense not taken away. We talked about how they had a couple opportunities to do so in this one, and curious what Tomlin had to say about that.
Yeah, not a whole lot. I mean, he talked about the turnovers, but it wasn't. There wasn't to me, there was not and deservedly so. I did not feel like there was a strong message about the play of his defense.
Okay, so it wasn't like what game? Cincinnati game where he was talking about the offense.
Oh, it was all just stop the run. Like, no, it was not. It was. I mean, certainly he was asked about the turnovers and he talked about them, and he said in his opening, anytime you're 0-3 in turnovers, you're probably going to lose. But that was almost like an aside. Like that was the last thing he mentioned. You know what I mean? Okay. Like, as opposed to starting with, the offense and the offensive struggles, and actually started, the first thing he talked about on defense was positives, where he felt like the safety duo has brought stability and has been a really good force for them, and that it felt like the pass rushers were able to pressure Herbert, and like that, it was mostly positive review of his defensive performance.
Okay. Do want to get to some questions, but you brought this up to me. I guess it's that time of year. I'd like to not spend too much time on this, but Alan, it's the time of year where it starts circulating. If the Steelers want to move on from Mike Tomlin, they could trade him to one of these openings. The Giants fired Brian Daboll, so there's an opening with the Giants, and it's been floated out there. Somebody wrote, I don't even know who wrote the article from the New York side of things, but that's who they should pursue. Perfect time for both sides to move on and Tomlin take over, a fresh start in New York, New Jersey.
Well, I agree that it's a perfect person for the Giants to pursue. I'll give whoever wrote it that amount of credit. The Steelers have no interest in trading Mike Tomlin. The Steelers never will have any interest in trading Mike Tomlin. Not now, not ever, no matter what happens. They are not ever going to trade Mike Tomlin. He has a no-trade clause in his contract, but it's irrelevant because they were never, ever in a million years going to want to trade Mike Tomlin. It's never going to happen. I have no idea why anyone talks about it. It's just beyond me.
And there's the other side of that as well. I mean, I guess if Tomlin felt like I don't want to be here if the team is trying to move me out.
Okay, so the one way that they could trade Mike Tomlin is if he did what Sean Payton did and stepped down while he's still under contract. If he steps down while he's still under contract, then he's quitting and they're just trading away his rights at that point. Okay, they could do that. But they're not going to preemptively trade him. Never.
I was just say, I mean, willingness from them aside, I feel like what's the desire from him? I mean, I like that was my point. Is unless he feels like he's being pushed.
If they said they didn't want him to, if they don't want him to be their coach anymore, I think he would still want to coach, and I think he would find an opportunity. They're not going to trade him though. Like they're just going to fire him. And honestly, I mean, they're nowhere near that. Like, we're at least 3 years from that happening, no matter what happens in between. Like, it's just not even remotely in the galaxy of reasonable things that could happen.
I don't want to Yeah, I mean, I fully agree, but like I started for people that are watching on YouTube, you can see that I kind of started to chuckle there because I was thinking about how we've talked about his disdain for rookie quarterbacks. It's like if he was like, you know what, no, we're drafting one in the first round, 26. I want nothing to do with that. Let me go with the second year guy, Jackson Dart in New York.
Yeah, I mean, could he step down? Sure, like that's possible. I always hesitate to. That's a difficult, even for people.
Yeah, you're
Who
getting
make
in
that
somebody's
decision.
head where they're at and what they want to
Right,
do, and yeah.
and yeah, but
Mhm.
there's no chance of any of that. I can't even believe it's brought up, to be honest.
Yeah. Like I said, I didn't want to spend too much time on it, but worth ripping into for a second there. Alex Brodsky, who's asked us some great stuff recently, he's got something else for us here, even though he said this may be a dumb question. How was
There's
the start?
no such thing as a dumb question.
I feel like I've asked you several questions that could fall into that category if there were. So I appreciate you saying that. Maybe this is a dumb question, but how is a starter determined for game day? Looking at snap counts, notice that, we should have brought this up when we were talking about Warren and Gainwell. For example, Jaylen Warren was listed as the starting running back, as he should be. However, Kenneth Gainwell outsnapped him 27-24 in this last game. Would think that the starters would be the ones getting more snaps, barring injury. Is it truly just whoever goes out there for the first play? Understand that injury could make something like that happen, but in this case, it was an injury-related issue. Also, whoever decided that Gainwell should ever be outsnapping Warren needs to be called out because it's a crime against humanity.
Yeah, it's just whoever takes the first snap of the game. That's it. It's not any more scientific than that. It's not a very good measure of anything. Honestly, I'm not even really sure why it's still a thing.
So, like in
doesn't.
that, with what he's talking about, where players are listed as starters,
Yeah.
would that be different than whoever the Steelers decide to announce as starters?
Yeah,
At
so who
this
they
game?
announce as starters is completely irrelevant. They can announce whoever
Yeah,
they want.
because they like last year they would announce Najee and Jaylen. Like this year they're
They've been
announcing
announcing
2 or 3 tight ends.
They've been
Like
announcing Herbig and Highsmith when they
yeah, mhm.
announced the defense. But yeah, who the team announces as a starter is completely irrelevant. It means nothing to anyone, and that doesn't even get sort of written down anywhere. That's just like this really doesn't mean very much, but it does get recorded. So when you see like stats like, Ben Roethlisberger sets the Steelers record for most consecutive games started or something like that, that's where those stats are derived, and it is literally just taking the first snap. So if you've got a record you want to uphold, but you got a twisted ankle, you can go take the first snap and then leave, and then it counts. I was interested because they started the game in their heavy package, and then Andrus Peat got a false start. And I was wondering if he was going to get a false start on the first play of the game and then not start. They were going to take him out, but they left him in. They ran another heavy package play, or maybe it was the same heavy package play, on what ended up becoming the first snap. I don't really know the right answer there. I might have to check with the stat guys. So if the first play is a penalty that counts, do you count the starters from the first play or the second play? I'll have to figure that one out.
Yeah.
The Steelers didn't change their offense. I wonder if the Chargers changed their defense.
Yeah, I was like, man, Andrus Peat. first play, you get in there and that's what happens. That's tough. That's tough luck. Last thing wanted to do, Alan, you updated the ticker here at the bottom, giving a bunch of shout outs to some vets. We appreciate all those who have served or are currently serving our country. Obviously allow us to do things like this or anything that we do in our daily life. So all of you guys are getting some shout outs down there. Papa Smitty served in the Army, although he doesn't like to say that he did because he never actually saw active duty and just worked on electronics and stuff. But he did serve in the Army immediately out of high school. Still has his uniform at the house and everything like that. So shout out to not only my dad, but everybody that did. I wanted to read some of these because actually some of these people had like really cool jobs in what they were doing and stuff. But obviously shout out to everybody that we threw down there. Keith Dawson, Tim, let's just do first names because I might mess some of these up. Unless I can literally tell it like be wise. I got you. Carl Hasselplug, who's been obviously an active member for us. M. Dot down there as well in the Air Force. Bearded Dutchman's the one that I wanted to bring up for sure because he said, hey, Alan, former Army helicopter door gunner did 2 tours in Vietnam. That's awesome. That's the stuff that I was like reading this, like getting juiced to talk about when I was seeing it earlier. So, all you guys, thank you so much, not only for your support here, but more importantly, your service to this country.
Yeah. I try to. It's something that's near and dear to my heart as well. I don't have my father didn't serve, but some of my uncles did, and my cousin recently, I think 2 years ago, retired from the Navy. Was a lifer there on nuclear submarines. So got a lot of my family as well.
Steelers fan 72, U.S. Army Airborne. Chad, his wife Adrian served in the Air Force. Fred Taylor, who I used to always joke about when he would leave comments. That was the former Jacksonville Jaguars running back that still gives me nightmares. Also served in the Air Force. Shout out. And our guy, Ken, in New Hampshire, was with the Marine Corps.
Semper Fi, get in the van.
He might have, he did. USM. Well, it is so right before he said USMC Semper Fi, and in all caps,
get in the van.
As only Ken can. So once again, shout out, appreciate everybody that has served or is currently serving. Can't thank you guys enough for everything that you do or have done for this country. Alan, anything else to say as we wrap up here?
No, I think that's it.
Okay, well, you know the drill. Until tomorrow, tell the people they can find you.
Saunders_PGH on X, Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky. PGH Steelers Now sites account, SteelersNow.com. Go there and read the words so I can get paid. I'll have a column about Tomlin's words today. I'll have the Notes from the Road will be out tomorrow, and that one is for subscribers only. So just get over there and get signed up for SN Plus. Also, we're going to have our SN Plus subscribers only live stream for the month of November coming up on next Monday, the 17th at 6 p.m. So definitely want to get signed up in time for that. It's usually me and Smitty and DB, and we usually have a pretty good time.
Actually, you know what I'd like to do? You just mentioned SN Plus. I can't remember how many exactly are down there, like 8, 9 or whatever, although some of them might have SN Plus. If you were one of those people that we just shouted out, you don't have SN Plus, reach out to me. I want to pay for you to have SN Plus this month, so you can be a part of the live stream and also read the stuff over there. Appreciate you guys. So reach out to me if you were one of the people that we just talked about. I know our guy Ken has SN Plus anyway, but if you don't, hit me up. We'll get you signed up. Just as a little token of my gratitude, and also gives back to us as well. So appreciate you guys. That'll be my little token. You hit me up, Zachary Smith PGH. Again, like Alan said, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. That's totally free. Hit us in the comments. We are at 16,900 and definitely a number we've landed on quite a bit. Zach Banner's the one that we always go to here for 72.
Went down.
It's got to be like,
so we were 74 yesterday.
Yeah, you're right. What the heck?
That's strange. 72. Barrett Brooks, who was in Pittsburgh for the Super Bowl 40 celebration a couple weeks ago, was a backup offensive tackle. That's a pretty obscure one.
I would say so, yeah.
72. There's another one I'm thinking of here. Wayne Gandy. Wayne Gandy, 72. Tackle on the Super Bowl 30 team, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
No, maybe after the Super Bowl 30 team.
99 to 2002.
Okay.
Cody Wallace.
Oh, that's a good one. 72. I feel like I got another one in me, but I can't. I'm gonna look. I feel like I know more.
I'm looking for ones within your time frame. Leon Searcy.
Oh yeah, it was a first round pick. Come on, should have known that. Moon Mullins, also back in the 70s, and Darnell Stapleton. Bernard Daphne. Yeah, he was here for 1 year. Trenton Scott, great beard on that guy. He was here for one year as well. And Doug Nestor, although Doug Nestor didn't play a game last year, so I don't count that one.
Mm-hmm. Trenton Scott, like, was the extra offensive lineman here for like a year, and then he parlayed that in like a multi-year contract with Washington.
Yes, he's still there.
Yeah.
He's starting. He started a couple games this year.
Good for him. Good for him. Yeah. But all right,
just remember that when we talk about like why don't teams trade offensive linemen? Yeah, because Trent Scott's a starter somewhere. Like that's that. Like nobody has any good ones.
If you got a warm body,
you're
better than a lot of people. Yeah. If you listen somewhere else, Apple, Spotify, wherever your podcast from, be sure to leave a 5-star review and subscribe over there. Again, Vets, hit me up. Get you signed up for SN Plus. Appreciate you guys. And then find me everywhere. Like I said, Zachary Smith, PGH. You'll need that to hit me up to get signed up for SN Plus. For Alan Saunders, myself, thanks for jumping in. Take another ride on the Steelers Afternoon Drive.